Hey guys, welcome to episode 3. And today we're going to start talking about the schedule predictions for each team because schedule released a couple of days ago. So we're just going to go through that and give you all our predictions.
For sure. There was a lot of schedule releases this past week. There were a lot of creative things that happened. I know you saw the Minecraft schedule
Yeah,
release. There were so many different things that were put out there. The Colts had a bit of an interesting one, but they were voted as one of the best schedule releases, even though they had that little Tyreek Hill situation.
you
But
know
I
they
thought
took down the video.
yeah, I kind of figured they would. I know Tyreek wasn't offended or something. I think he had taken to Twitter and just mentioned that he wasn't offended, but it was definitely interesting the way that they put it out there. But there was a lot of
Yeah.
mid offs too. Like there were a lot of mid schedule releases, and I'm not one to really care too much about the aesthetics of it all, but I thought it was funny how some teams kind of took that extra step and like decided to make something of
Yeah, the Lions theirs was terrible. Bears was all right.
it.
What's it called? All of NFC North really just didn't put any effort in. You know what? Which one I really liked? The Seahawks. Like that's not even biased.
Seahawks was
The
good.
Seahawks
Seahawks was
one was
good.
really funny. They had Devin Witherspoon and like the '90s style commercial. I really liked that.
I think there was one that like had included Taylor Swift or something, so that was pretty funny. There were a lot of good creative schedule releases out this week, but now let's kind of dive into the schedules itself. I think there's a lot of intriguing matchups and a lot of teams that can really take it to that next level. I mean, we talked about the power rankings and the football behind it all, but now is where the strength of schedule really plays in. And who are you playing? Who do you have to guard one on one? Things like that. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a really interesting season. So yeah, we'll get started with the with the AFC North. We'll do the AFC here today. Kind of draw out what their records are going to look like, who's the winners and losers of each division, and then we'll take care of NFC next week.
All right, yeah. So starting off with the Baltimore Ravens, we got week 1 at Buffalo. What do we think?
It's a Buffalo Bills win. Josh Allen is coming for revenge in terms of the regular season. I can't make any promises in postseason because we all know who Josh Allen is. But I think week one, it's going to be an absolute classic to start. This is Sunday at 8:20 p.m. This is going to be an instant primetime classic, and I'm super excited. Um, Going through the rest of the weeks, they've got actually a really interesting start to the season where they play the Bills, then week 3 the Lions, week 4 the Chiefs, week 5 the Texans, and then straight to the Rams. And then the Bears after their bye week in week 7, their first real like, okay, we're gonna win this game. Besides that week 2 matchup against the Cleveland Browns is against the Miami Dolphins in week 9, and that's a tough stretch of games, man. I think, um, just counting, I'd say my prediction is, you know, I'd say 5 losses for the Ravens this year. I've got them losing to the New England Patriots in week 16. We'll
Ooh,
dive into the Patriots a little bit more a little bit later on. But so that's 5 games. I've got them at a 12-5 record. What are your thoughts?
12-5, yeah. So like you said, we got the very tough stretch of Bills, and then I'll count this as a bye week because they're playing the Browns. Then you got Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams, Bears, and then right after that you have Vikings. This is going to be a very tough schedule for them. I think this will really show us whether Lamar is as good as people like to call him. Because is one of the most, I'm not going to say overhyped because I do think he is really good, but I will say he's one of the most hyped up QBs in the league because people will say that he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now, even though he doesn't have a ring, he hasn't made it past, he hasn't even made it to the Super Bowl. So I think this season will really show us whether or not he is that top tier caliber, the best of the best. And also, I just want to point out this schedule compared to the Bills schedule, this is this is so much harder. The Bills have one of the easier schedules in the league this year, so I think that's going to spark up a lot of conversation about, oh, did Josh Allen really deserve his MVP and all that stuff, especially if they're both in the MVP race this year. There's definitely going to be some talks about that.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to have. I mean, what's your official prediction for the Ravens, I guess, in terms of wins?
All right, let's see. I'll say loss at Bills, win at Browns, loss versus Lions, win versus Chiefs, win versus Texans. They're gonna beat the Rams, lose to the Bears. They're gonna lose to the
Yep.
Bears,
Yep. That's how I have that too.
beat the Dolphins, and then they're gonna whoop. Oh wait, 1 second. I messed up. Whatever. They're gonna beat the Dolphins. They're gonna beat the Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, and then they'll probably lose to the Bengals one game just because I think that matchup is gonna be like a 40, 50 point game. And then honestly, I think they'll probably win against the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots have what it takes to beat Lamar yet. They'll beat the Packers and they'll beat the Steelers again.
How many losses was that?
Ooh, I honestly
Yeah,
have
I
no
think it's around
idea.
the same, maybe 4 or 5 losses. So I think
Yeah,
that's pretty safe. We can put them around 12-5, 11-6. But um, safe to say that I mean in at least in my head, I've got them winning the division. I don't know about you.
yeah, for
I
sure.
have the Ravens as winning the division. And just to dive into our next team, division rival of the Ravens, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the no defense team. It's the team that loves to pay their three players and will not pay anyone else. But all in all, they didn't have a good offseason. Their rookies are holding out on the defensive side of the ball as well. So
Yeah.
I think I've got them at a calm, 8-9 this season. There's one stretch of games where in week 13, let's start at week 12. Week 12 they play the Patriots, who are a unit that's getting better. But then week 13 it's the Ravens. Week 14 it's the Buffalo Bills, and then week 15 it's the Ravens again. The end of their season is week 16, 17, 18 against the Dolphins, Cardinals, and Browns, which is not, the worst way to end your season. And now just looking at it, they play the Steelers in week 11 as well, which is always going to be a formidable defense. So, yeah, I mean, I have them going at a calm 8-9, 9-8 pace this season. I think that Joe Burrow is going to have to kind of really up it to that next level. And a lot of people love to talk about Joe Burrow as the number one quarterback in the league. But
I'm one
are
of
we
those
going to see
people.
that this season? There you go. Are we going to see that this season, or is the defense going to hold him back? We don't know, but I have them going 8-9 this season.
Yeah, I definitely do think that the defense will for sure hold him back because they did the same thing last year. Last year, Joe Burrow would have had a playoff season if it weren't for his horrendous defense. And that game against the Chiefs got bailed out. They should not have won. So I'd say 8-9, 9-8 season. I think they'll be on the winning end of this regular season. And yeah, we'll see.
For sure. Jumping into our next team, kind of the most intriguing team because we don't know who the starting quarterback is in this team in this division. The Cleveland Browns, my personal division loser. I think they're yours as well. Uh, they didn't, they made some good adjustments, but there's a lot of youth on that team, a lot of stuff that needs to be figured out. And here is how you want to hear how the Browns start their season.
Hmm.
Cincinnati Bengals, L. Baltimore Ravens, L. Green Bay Packers, L.
Oh,
Detroit Lions, L.
oh.
Minnesota Vikings, L. Pittsburgh Steelers, L. Then we get to Miami in week 7.
They could win.
Maybe,
They could win that.
maybe something happens and they can pull it off against the Dolphins. But 6 weeks in a row to start, like I can't see a world in which they don't start the season 0-6.
Yeah,
I've never said that about a team before.
they're going 1-7 for the first until their bye week. Because I don't they're not
This is
beating the
ridiculous.
Patriots. They're not beating the Jets. They're not beating the Ravens. They could beat the Raiders. Lost against 49ers. They could beat the Titans. Lost to the Bears, Bills, Steelers, Bengals. I don't think they beat their division at all this year. I
They might not win more than 2 games this season.
I think Jerry Judy requests a trade mid-season to get
Jerry
out of
Jeudy
there.
gets traded to the Steelers, never sees 50 receptions again for the rest of his career. Ultimate prediction. But just to lay it out flat, the Browns are going 2-15 this season. They will be the bottom of their division, and they will have the number one pick in the draft again next year, which I think was a great decision because they're going to have number one next year, and they also have an additional first round pick next season. So not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I do think the Jaguars do okay. So you end up with number one and number 8 through 12, and it's a beneficial season. I'm not sure the Browns are looking to really do anything this season anyway. So
Yeah, honestly, if the Browns end up getting the first round pick, that would be pretty great for them. But then my question is, why did you draft two quarterbacks?
they drafted 2 quarterbacks just because they wanted to have fun. Same thing with the running backs. I mean, honestly, I think the optionality is why they chose to go with Dylan and Shador both. Like, why not have the additional options? But it just kind of seemed like they were messing around. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of talent on the board as far as the defensive line, as far as the offensive line, as far as bringing in a tight end 2 behind David Njoku. There's a lot of talent left on the board that they could have that they could have used, and ultimately decided to go a different direction.
Yeah. All right, next up,
Yeah.
we have the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What are your thoughts on the Steelers?
I am trying to find their schedule. You start because this is not showing
Yeah,
up for me.
definitely. I don't mind the way that the Steelers start the season. There's not really a huge juggernaut that they play right away. First of all, in week one, they play the New York Jets. A lot of what we've talked about concerning the Steelers hinges on the fact that they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. They picked up a fifth round rookie in the draft, Will Howard, obviously national champion. He's a solid quarterback, but they don't really have any other options. It just kind of seems like it's like they're just playing that waiting game. They're like, okay, we're getting Aaron Rodgers. We just need him to sign the dotted line. But regardless, the start of their season, honestly, it doesn't worry me too much. New York Jets first. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, they can definitely win that game. Seattle Seahawks next. It's a tough challenge. I can see the
DK
Seahawks
revenge
pulling it
game.
off. Yeah, DK
Yeah,
revenge game. So and
I don't think DK is getting through the Seahawks, and I don't want him to.
uh,
It's
not
not
if
happening.
Aaron Rodgers is not his quarterback, he will not be winning
Even
that
if
many
Aaron
games.
Rodgers is there, yo, the Seahawks own Aaron Rodgers.
I agree. Week three, we got the Patriots. Week four, Vikings. Week five, Browns. Week seven, Bengals. First kind of test is the Green Bay Packers in week eight. But then you go back to the Colts in week nine. So I think that the Steelers are headed for another mediocre season where we're going to see them at 8-9, 9-8, which will put them squarely at second or third in the division, with them and the Bengals fighting for playoff position, which is exactly where we were at last year. And to say that a team is going to perform the same as the year before, it's not usually a smart thing to do. But what changes have we seen made on either team? Like, I understand the Steelers got a new wide receiver, but then got rid of one wide receiver. And George Pickens and DK Metcalf, they're not obviously the same player, but they kind of are both that deep threat. Like, there's just not much change in either organization. Steelers lost Najee Harris. Steelers picked up Caleb Johnson. Like, it's just, it's an in and out carousel that it kind of doesn't make sense to me. So I got them again 8-9, 9-8 this season. Um,
Yeah,
and they do face some tough challenges towards the end of the season. So
yeah, I completely agree. I think the Steelers don't have what it takes to be um a playoff team this year. I think they could maybe stay above 500 like they've done for all of Mike Tomlin's career. But other than that, nothing really exciting is coming out for them. I don't think Steelers fans should get their hopes up for anything as of right now. Maybe if you still had DK and if you had signed Justin Fields back, then it would be a different story. But I don't know.
for sure. I think just to give a quick recap of the entire division in the AFC North this year, our division winner will be the Ravens. Our division loser is going to be the Cleveland Browns. Our best quarterback in the division is going to be Lamar Jackson. And my biggest surprise player is going to be Quinshon Judkins. I think he's going to have a great rookie season. But we've all seen that great rookie running back seasons don't always amount to wins. Who's your biggest sleeper this season in the AFC North?
AFC North. See, I would say honestly, I think DK would go crazy if he had a QB on the Steelers. But other than that, I think if Shedeur Sanders starts, he could maybe win a few games for the Browns.
That'd be
So
exciting. There's
I'd
reports that he may not make the team, so I hope he does. I hope he makes the team, but it's going to be an interesting kind of next couple months.
yeah, it would either be Shedeur or Malachi Starks on the Baltimore Ravens, just got drafted this year. I think he's a pretty good safety. I think he'll
That's it. Yeah,
do good
that was a great
things.
pickup. I thought Mike Green was a great pickup for the Ravens as well.
Yeah.
Pick 51, so he was supposed to be a first round guy. But yeah, let's dive into our next division. So let's talk about the AFC East. We got the Dolphins, the Bills, the Patriots, and the Jets. This is going to be a fun division this year. But let's start with the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa. First of all, let's start. What are your thoughts on Tua Tagovailoa?
He sucks. I think that I think that the Dolphins will honestly they have a very good chance to lose this division. I think the Jets
Wow.
are getting ready to cook up and could honestly have a winning season this year. So my prediction for this division would be Bills, Patriots, Jets, Dolphins. You can swap out Jets or Dolphins, but I think it's those two at the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the Jets worry me just because I've kind of been a Jets believer for the last 2 years. I love Garrett Wilson. I love Brees Hall. They're amazing talents, but they just haven't had any luck when it comes to the quarterback position. And then for Garrett Wilson's career, at least, like that kind of took a dampener last year when Devontae Adams joined the team. I know it's fun to have another receiver opposite side of you, but to go from wide receiver one getting peppered with 15 targets a game to all of a sudden getting only 7 targets a game, and you guys are still losing games, like it didn't make sense what the Jets were doing the second half of last season either. So I think the Jets remain in mediocrity, and I think the Dolphins maybe get 1 or 2 more wins than them. We could also see a crazy Tyreek Hill season. Just to dive back into the Dolphins, like if we can get prime Tyreek Hill back for maybe one more season, we could be in for something interesting. But they do have a bit of a tiny gauntlet. Not really gauntlet. Actually, the start of the season isn't too bad. Colts first, Pats second, Bills third, Jets in week 4. Get a nice matchup with the Panthers in week 5. And then their next really tough matchup is the Ravens, Bills, Commanders stretch from week 9 to week 11. So this looks to me as if it's 6-11, 7-10 season for the Miami Dolphins. I don't even
Yeah,
think that they end the season well, so I think that their maybe 6 wins would be the Jets, Saints. I think they could pull it off against the Falcons, the Browns, and Panthers and the Colts. I mean, that's 6 wins right there. And then if they can
nah, the
get
Panthers
one of
got
those
it.
other wins, I mean, yeah, look at that. So you could be looking at 4 or 5 wins for the Dolphins this season, which should be atrocious.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
think
at that point, if you win 4 or 5 games, you need to draft a quarterback next season.
I was about to say the same thing. I think that Tua's on his last limbs. He's definitely he's dealing with health issues. You don't know if he's gonna get concussed just by someone looking at him or breathing on him. So I think that the Dolphins really have to look at possible QB replacements. I think maybe sign someone in free agency, maybe get someone in the draft if they want to get another player at a different skill position, like a
Well,
rookie.
did you see who they got this year in the draft?
I can't remember.
Your boy Quinn Ewers, your favorite quarterback in college football, and I'm saying that sarcastically for all of our listeners on Spotify. Um, Adam's not a Quinn Ewers guy. I was a bit of a Quinn Ewers guy, but his inaccuracy kind of scares me. But I do think that he's someone who could fit with this Miami Dolphins kind of system that they have. He gets the ball out quick to the defense, but he gets the ball out quick. Quinn Ewers could be an interesting development if we see Tua go down, or maybe the team starts to lose faith in Tua. So it could be interesting. But he's also, I think he was a 7th rounder, so not
Y-
very small investment
Yeah,
if he doesn't
I
pan
think
out.
he was like in the 150s or something like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
160s.
And
But
who would have? I mean, 2 years ago we would have been saying Quinn Ewers was the number 1 overall pick. So
yeah, if the Dolphins can get a like early first round pick, I think they should definitely go QB because there's some good prospects coming up in this draft. I don't think Quinn Ewers is the future of Miami, especially because I think if Tua is gone, Tyreek's gone as well. He's either gonna retire, he's gonna go to a team that's actually in contention, which I personally think he should go to Baltimore, Buffalo, something like that.
well, if Tua's gone, you're right that Tyreek is gone, and they're just going to go to a full rebuild. So that's not going to be great. But you know who's coming next year in the draft? University of Miami quarterback Carson Beck. Carson Beck is coming home to the Dolphins next year. Stamp it right now. Call it. Carson Beck will be an NFL MVP, a UFL MVP. I meant to say.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't like Carson Beck at all. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't. It's just everything about him just makes me mad.
All right, let's get into the Buffalo Bills. This is a fun team. Obviously, they've got the Ravens first week. They didn't make a whole lot of insane changes, but I think a lot of it, not a lot of it, but kind of a chunk of what their production will be in the offensive end is allotted to James Cook, who had 16 touchdowns last season, and he hasn't signed his new deal. He's holding out of camp. So if he goes somewhere else, RB1 is Ray Davis, who I wouldn't say is bad, but and I wouldn't say bad at all. I actually think he's an above average back, but I also think he's more of that Nick Chubb type, whereas James Cook is like that electric. I don't want to say Gibbs type because he runs more powerful than Gibbs and is slower than Gibbs, but you know what I mean. That kind of style of running back that can uh, really change a game with one play rather than Nick Chubb type who just wears down your defense play after play. So the Bills will kind of have to change the way that they operate in terms of the run game, in terms of their motion, in terms of those little pitch plays that Josh Allen does with James Cook. It's going to be a timeshare between Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. So that could be an interesting dynamic. But just to jump into their schedule, play the Ravens in week 1, the Jets in week 2, Dolphins week 3, Saints in week 4. Actually, they've got a nice stretch of games where they don't have a challenge until about week 9 with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, going 7-1 or 6-1 in those first 8 weeks, and then you got to play the Chiefs. So I give him 4 losses this season. I think this is a 13-4 season for Josh Allen. I think that he is going to be in that MVP race again, just like Lamar. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different, but I think those two are kind of a consistent two that you can kind of throw into that MVP race.
Yeah, honestly, Bills 13-4 sounds perfect to me. I do think that they they could do a lot worse than a lot of people think. Like honestly, for me, it's either 13-4 or 8-9 for the Bills, just because. What do we like? What's gonna happen with Keon Coleman? Is he gonna step up and play that wide receiver one position? Because I don't think they're re-signing Amari Cooper, and right now he's really their only notable receiver. And if James Cook does decide to leave, then what are they doing about the running back position? Their defense isn't the best, but it's not like it's terrible. So, yeah, I think the Bills, they really have some stuff to work on, but they have time. So if they can get that done, then they're definitely looking at a 13-4 season.
Yeah, I think they're relying on Khalil Shakir a lot. He just signed a new deal this past offseason. I think this is year 3, so it could be exciting for Khalil Shakir. He's kind of one of those small slot guys. Like I feel like he's built like Tyreek Hill a little bit, but then he plays in the slot. He plays in the yards after catch spot. So if they can throw some interesting packages centered around Khalil Shakir, they could definitely have some really fun games. But then it's also Josh Allen. Like I just don't think Josh Allen allows his team to fall below 10 wins. And the second he makes it to the playoffs, I think he wins a few games and then he goes up against his arch nemesis and he loses in the conference championship again. But that's just saying things will go exactly like last year, which they never do.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's interesting for the Bills. I think they're at that point where they need to do something quick, otherwise they're just gonna start losing. Because the Patriots are coming up quick, and I think they could win the division within a couple years.
For sure. And actually, that's a perfect segue right into the Patriots, Drake May, and the boys. I think we had discussed that this was our kind of our biggest riser throughout the NFL this season for a team.
Yeah.
They made a lot of adjustments, or actually, I know that the Bears are actually our number one. I'd say the Patriots are probably right behind them, 2 rookie quarterbacks, and Caleb Williams and Drake May. I think that Drake May and the guys are going to make a huge difference this season. They drafted well. They got him protection. Diggs is there. Kyle Williams is there. Um, what's his name?
Christian
Travion
Gonzalez on
Henderson is
def
there.
on
Christian
defense.
Gonzalez. There's so many pieces to this Patriots defense that makes me want to say that they could win the division this year. Like, I don't think that's crazy to say. I think the Patriots could potentially win the AFC East this season. And it could happen. There's a lot of great pieces on that team.
Yeah, I don't think they'll win it this year. I think they will do good. I'm predicting a 10-7 season from the Patriots, just because I don't think the sophomore quarterbacks will be able to go over 10 wins, besides maybe Jaden Daniels. Or I think that this team has a lot of good pieces, but it's just like one piece here, one piece there, one piece. It's just all over the place. So I think that they have the opportunity to do good, but they haven't completely finished their rebuild. I think there's still some key spots that they need to focus on. I think they need a like a bona fide wide receiver too. And I think after that, then
Who
the
knows?
I don't know, man. I think after they get someone who you can like, who's a very reliable receiver, like your JSN Drake London type of guy, because Diggs he'll drop the ball in a clutch situation. We saw that a couple years ago in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs.
Come
He was
on,
dropping balls
Minneapolis
left
Miracle,
and
man. That's Stephon Diggs for life, man.
yo, that was like 50 years ago, bro. Come on now. He's
Just quickly looking at the Patriots schedule before we jump into the Jets. They don't play a lot of hard teams. They play the Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers. So that's four weeks that they could pull off the win. I think they lose to the Bills. Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons, Bucks. Jets, Bengals, Giants. So I I'm gonna say 10-7. I'm gonna say 10-7 for Drake May and the boys this year, and I think we had said 13-4 for the Bills. So obviously the Bills would win the division because the Jets are not doing anything. So
We'll see, man. Come on, have some faith.
so let's jump into the Jets actually. So we got 10-7 for the Patriots. Let's look at who the Jets got this season. Go ahead. What do you think?
I say 8-9, 9-8 season from the Jets. I think they do better than the Dolphins, who are a collapsing team. I think they're just falling apart completely. And I think
Yeah,
Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, I think that's a pretty good combo to have on your team. That's not like the best combo ever, but that's very, very solid, and you could do real things. And if Sauce wants to actually play like how people think he plays, because Sauce Gardner is one of the most overrated players in the league. He hasn't done anything since his
I
rookie
agree.
season.
I agree.
So if he can play how people think he plays, then I think that the Jets could have a 9-8 season.
Yeah, I think Aaron Glenn is going to make a huge difference, but I don't think the difference is going to be enough to be honest. But I don't consider Justin Fields to be a winning quarterback as of yet. I think that I need to see it really happen. But I mean, he played well with the Steelers last year, and the Bears. We've seen that the Bears really hadn't provided anyone any help, so there wasn't really much for him to do there. So this is kind of Justin Fields' make it or break it year. He's going to get a new contract depending on this. Obviously, he's on a 2 year right now, which would lead to an extension this summer or next summer. So we're going to see what Aaron Glenn can do with the movement. As far as Breece Hall is concerned, Aaron Glenn has specifically stated that he wants to run his running back room by committee. So we're talking about Breece Hall, Isaiah Davis, and Braylon Allen kind of all coming in and making an impact together. I thought Breece was the number one guy for a few years, but it doesn't seem like people are treating him like that, and his health is not doing too well as far as just staying healthy.
Mm.
Um, but it could be fun with Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields kind of coming back together. Just to take a look at their schedule real quick. Steelers in week 1, that'll be a really interesting matchup. But then it's the Bills and the Bucks after that, Dolphins and the Cowboys. So kind of I'd say 3-3 starts the season at best. Then the middle of their season actually isn't too bad. They can maybe win 2 or 3 of those games. So, you might not be too far off as far as that 8-9, 9-8 season goes. I think the end of their season might be a bit rough playing the Patriots and the Bills to end, which would kind of mathematically eliminate them from a playoff spot. But if they can make it to week 16, 17, still being in a potential playoff spot, that's something we haven't seen from the Jets in the past 3 years. So that would definitely be exciting.
Yeah, so what's your official prediction? I'm going 9-8 this season.
I'm going to go the complete opposite of you. The Jets are going 8-9 this season. So not too much of a stark difference there, but it'll be an exciting year for the Jets. So just to run through a quick summary of the AFC East, our division winner is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Our division loser coming together is going to, we'll say the Miami Dolphins. Our division MVP will be Josh Allen. And my division least valuable player of the year, Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Let's
Yeah,
jump into AFC South. We've got Texans, Colts, Jags, and Titans, the Cam Ward division, the CJ Stroud division, the Anthony Richardson division, and the Travis Hunter division. I mean, this is one of those divisions that's just it's all over. I mean, you could have someone have 13 wins, and you might have a team go with 2 wins. Like this is gonna be. I mean, you might have Daniel Jones the starting quarterback in this division. like but let's look at the Houston Texans first. Go ahead, give me your thoughts on the Houston Texans schedule.
yeah. So I think Texans will easily take this division. I think they go around 10-7. I don't think any of these teams are getting over 10 to 12 wins. That's just because of how weak these teams are. Like Texans, they're the only like actual like competitive teams. They got week 1 at the Rams. I think they'll lose that. Bucks, they could easily lose that. So, it just depends. I think they're gonna rely on their divisional games for wins because the Texans can easily win all of those games, but you know how divisional games go. They can go either way. They play the Seahawks in week 7. I think they'll lose that. They can beat the 49ers. Broncos are looking really good this year. I don't think the Texans will be able to beat them. So yeah, I think 10-7 season, they kind of rely on these divisional games, and then they play the Cardinals, Raiders, the Colts, Chargers. So I think those are the types of teams that they could actually beat, and if they can pull it off, then it'd be between the 9-8 to 10-7.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'll give him one more win this season because I do like CJ Stroud, and they've got games against the Raiders, they got games against the Cardinals, play the Colts twice, play the Titans. I think the Jags are going to pull one off against them because I like how the Jags kind of go against adversity a little bit. So I think the Jags get one off on them. So I'd say 11-6, and I think yours was 10-7. So kind of evens out. Um, I know that Tank Dell is gone. I know that their running back room not necessarily dwindling, but it's like kind of a I won't say mid because Joe Mixon I think he's a little bit better than mid, but like it's just kind of like there's not a lot of superpower there. So if Nico Collins can really elevate into that top 5 wide receiver discussion, and Jaden Higgins can be a star, or Jalen Noel can kind of step in and be that guy, then maybe we're looking at 12 wins. But I think you're right that it's going to be tough for them to get anywhere past that.
Yeah, this division is just terrible. So I think that the Texans will get the most wins with 11 wins, 6 losses. And I don't think anyone else in that division is getting more or less.
Now, do you think the AFC South is the worst division in football?
Yeah, for sure.
Worse than the NFC South?
Oh, wait. Honestly, yeah. Because NFC South, you have the Panthers who are heating up. The Panthers could honestly do good things this year. You got to watch out. They might take the Bucks spot at number one.
Never.
So it could it could be and then the Bucks, that's a good team. The Falcons, they're like super mid. Like just if you when you think of a mid team, you think of the Falcons. And then the
They're
Saints
the
just suck.
Indiana Pacers of the National Football League. That's what I call them.
Yo, the Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals, bro. Come on.
Look, man, I mean, we'll talk about basketball a different day. Um, yeah, let's go into the Colts though. This is literally, I think this is the most volatile season out of any NFL team this year. Like, depending on what version of Anthony Richardson that we get, he says he's feeling more accurate. He's wearing glasses in practice. He's throwing dots, but we all know he can throw dots. We know he can throw dots. Does he do it in game? I mean, no, we haven't seen it yet. So this year really just hinges on Anthony Richardson. I think if they go to Daniel Jones, if they end up sitting Anthony Richardson, they go to Daniel Jones, that's just kind of a 1 year rental. Like they're going to be looking at next year in the draft, and they're going to say, hey, we need a quarterback now. They got Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, who was an okay pickup, but I don't think he makes any difference on this team. So I think he remains the QB3. But just looking at their schedule, um, so, I mean, I'll go game by game here. I think they can beat the Dolphins in game 1. I think they lose to the Broncos, so that's 2-1 to start the season. I'd say same. They start the season as at 3-3. Um, yeah, I actually see them starting the first 10 weeks 5-5, but then they kind of dive into wow, yeah. Then the rest of this wow. So
Yeah, I'm
actually,
kind of looking at a
yeah,
5-win season from the Colts
yeah,
here.
I actually was about to say the same thing. Like, I think they could start the season 5-5 and then legitimately go 0-7 over the next 7 games. They got the Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jags, Texans. They might pull one or two off against the Jags. Like maybe they win both of those, but like, wow,
I think they'll
this
beat
is a gauntlet.
uh, I think they'll beat the Niners too. I don't think the
Yeah,
Niners are
it,
doing
it,
good this year.
it could happen, but I could see this being a nightmare season unless Anthony Richardson really steps up.
Yeah, my prediction will be a 7-10 season from
I'm with you there.
the Colts. I think they'll be able to pull it off against some of these harder teams. I don't know which ones, but I think they'll get at least one or two off of them.
All right, so we've got taking care of the Texans and the Colts. Let's jump into the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really fun team. Like we get to see Travis Hunter basically do whatever he wants out there.
Yeah, he
Liam
kind
Cohen's
of
going to throw him
owns
in a
his
bunch of
team
different
as of right
packages.
now.
I agree. Everything is about Travis Hunter right now. He plays on both sides of the ball. He was at the Panini practice yesterday or the day before, throwing the ball. He's got an arm. But just looking at their schedule itself, it's a little bit tough. You got the Bengals, which could be a win. I think the Seahawks are an interesting matchup for them. I think that
They're not beating the
the
Seahawks.
Raiders, they should K the Raiders immediately. They should beat the Titans. They should beat the Cardinals. I think they should beat the Colts in at least one of those two games, and then beat the Titans as well. I mean, I don't want to say it, but the Jaguars are going 10-7 this season. My official prediction for the Jacksonville Jaguars is 10-7 for this season.
You said for for Jacksonville Jaguars?
Uh, let's break it down. Let's break it down. All right, they beat the Titans, and we'll go week 18 to
Well,
week one.
no, let's start week one. Okay, we got Steelers. The Jacksonville Jaguars could beat them, so that's one win. All
Wait,
right.
that's preseason.
The
That's preseason. That's preseason.
Oh, that's preseason.
Yeah, regular
Oh
season.
yeah, that is. All right. Week one, Panthers. They're losing that.
All
Week
right, that's
two,
fine. That's fine.
they're losing to the Texans. Week three, they're
That's
losing
fine.
to the Chiefs. Or week five, they're losing to wait. Oh, my thing doesn't have all the games. This is
All
very
right, so
annoying.
week one Panthers, we'll give them an L. Fine.
Yeah.
Week two Bengals, we'll
L.
give them an L. Fine. Week three Texans, we'll give them an L.
L.
Fine. They start the season 0-3. All right. Now watch this. They beat the Niners. All right.
Okay,
They beat the
I'm fine
Niners.
with that.
They lose to the
I
Chiefs.
lose to the Chiefs.
They're gonna lose to the Chiefs. I'll give them that one. They
1-4.
lose to the Seahawks. They're one
One and
and
five.
five. They beat the Rams.
No.
They beat the
No.
Raiders.
No, they're not beating the Rams, bro. What are we talking
They
about?
beat the Texans in week 10.
Yo,
They lose to the Chargers. I'm telling you, the end of their season, I mean, there's only one other loss they're going to have, and it's the Denver Broncos.
they're not beating
So
they're not beating the Rams. This is coming from a Seahawks fan. They're not beating the
I'm telling
Rams.
you, they are beating the Los Angeles Rams. Stamp it right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are beating the Los Angeles Rams this season.
Yo, who's covering Puka on Travis Hunter covering Puka?
100%. Travis Hunter is locking down Puka.
Yo, you did not say that, bro. Yo, you have Puka Nacua in your top three wide receivers right now, bro. He's not locking him down. Yo, this is clip farming to the
Anyways,
max, bro.
anyways,
Yo, oh my
Jags are
God,
going
bro.
10-7 this season. My
Yo,
official prediction.
the Jags are
What's
going
your
6-12, bro.
6-12
Or
for the
six and
Jags?
eleven, whatever it is. Oh
Let's
my
dive
God.
into the Tennessee Titans.
And
Um,
yeah, like 5-12. Let's move on.
yeah, 5-12. If they can win 5 games, I'm happy for Cam Ward. Starting your rookie season is not easy to do against a team that basically has nothing. You got Calvin Ridley out there as one of his weapons. Not a lot of great help on the defensive side of the ball. So,
Tyler Lockett,
um,
man. Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. Now, I saw Xavier Shepo catching balls in minicamp, but I just wonder if he's going to be that guy. But like, I feel like there's a lot of competition in the Titans wide receiver room. Like,
Well, you gotta consider that they were teammates in college too, so they already have that chemistry, and
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that could definitely the coaches would definitely like that if they already have that chemistry, and he can get him the ball, and Restrepo can catch the ball. So that's all
right,
they really need.
exactly.
Because the Titans are in
That
are still in a rebuild spot right now. I think it's gonna take at least 2 to 3 years for them to be good.
No, 100%. They go through a bit of a tough stretch with the Texans. They got to play the Pats. Actually, their schedule is not crazy this season, but it's just they don't really have a good team. I agree with you on that 5-12. I don't think they go any further than that. Um, but it's going to be exciting for Cam Ward. They're kind of a toss up. They're kind of a question mark right now. Titans are going to be quite mid this season, but they have a very bright future ahead.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up the AFC South. Our division winner, obviously, going to be the Texans. Our division loser is going to be the Tennessee Titans. Our MVP of this division, who would you say is the MVP of the AFC South this upcoming season?
I'm gonna say Nico Collins is gonna have
Okay,
a 1,300 receiving yard season. Maybe
I don't
maybe
mind it.
14. I think he'll go pretty crazy, especially because of how last season's playoffs went. So I think they'll do pretty good.
Yep, I agree with you there. MVP being Nico Collins, and I'm going to give my least valuable player to the Tennessee Titans coaching staff. I have a feeling they're not going to be around for long, so there's that. The biggest rookie sleeper, I guess not even sleeper, but kind of the rookie who's going to have the most impact, in my opinion, in this division is going to be Travis Hunter. But I don't think Jaden Higgins falls too far behind. I'm a big fan of the guy. I think he can definitely make a difference. But just
Ooh.
with Travis Hunter's overall impact, we're looking
What
at
are
a
what
great
are we
season.
what are we thinking about the Brian Thomas Jr. Travis Hunter combo?
I think that Brian Thomas Jr. is extremely talented and that he should remain the wide receiver one. I think Travis Hunter should play that wide receiver two spot, but I don't even think it should be, one or two. I think it can be a 1A, 1B situation where you're frying defenders on both sides of the field. Brian Thomas plays great going vertically, going outside, whereas Travis Hunter does great with that little slant route in the middle, 25 yards, and then gets yards after the catch after that. He is lightning quick and he has great hands. The other day I saw him catching a pass with his body, and there were people flooding the comments. Why is he catching the pass with his body? What's wrong with that? The guy wants to run and catch after that. He doesn't want to be holding the ball up here with the chance of it slipping out of his hand. So, going to be a lot of criticism towards Travis Hunter this upcoming season, but I think it's going to be I think they're going to have almost equal receiving yards. I see them both landing at 11, 1200. If they run Travis Hunter on normal wide receiver snaps, if we're talking less snaps than 7, 800 yards, wouldn't be a disappointment. 7, 800 yards along with 3 picks and 5 pass breakups, not horrible. I wouldn't say that's bad for
Yeah.
especially for a rookie.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree.
100%.
All
Let's
right, let's
dive
move on
into our final
to
division. Yep. Go ahead.
AFC, what is it, West?
West. Yep.
Yeah. So starting off, we got the Denver Broncos. Now, just looking at their schedule here, I see some pretty tough games and some pretty easy games. I think they'll be able to beat Tennessee, Indianapolis. They'll be able to beat Cincinnati, the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Raiders again, and the Jaguars. And then I think they can beat the
Don't say it.
Chargers.
Don't say it. Okay, the Chargers are fine. Once we get to week 17, I don't want to hear it. I don't want
Yeah,
to hear it.
Chiefs are losing, bro. Come on.
I don't want to hear it. The
The
Denver
Broncos
Broncos are not beating the Kansas City
the
Chiefs this
Broncos have
season.
a real chance to win their division. I will live and die by this statement. They have a real chance. Like, look, I'm just counting off the wins. Titans 1, Colts 2, Chargers 3, Jets 4, Giants 5, Dallas 6, Raiders 7, Raiders again 8. I they Jags 9, okay? And then realistically, they could beat Houston and they will beat the Chiefs at least one of these games. So that's already 10, 11 wins.
So you got 11 wins for the Broncos this season.
Yeah, 11 and 6 season.
I don't mind it. I think the only thing that I'm not going to agree with you on at all is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes he comes through. He comes through. He always comes through, and he's going to come through for us once again, the king of the NFL.
Us.
But
Who's us, bro? Come
um,
on.
it's a lot of glaze towards Patrick Mahomes. But I'm a big Bo Nix guy. I love Bo Nix. I think that the most underrated skill about Bo Nix's game is his rushing ability and his ability to move around and move the defense around as well with his eyes, with his legs. Bo Nix does a great job of adjusting to what the defense gives him and throwing on the fly. And now he's got a solidified tight end option, which, in my opinion, the most important player for a rookie on the offensive side, if they're the quarterback, is their tight end. Look at any of the rookie quarterbacks over the last couple of years and tell me how they did and who their tight end was, and you'll see a direct correlation. Now he's got Evan Ingram. This is his second year. This is going to be a big year for Bo Nix, and I think he's going to have a
Yeah.
great season because he's got the weapons surrounding him now.
All right, next up we got the Chiefs, and I just wanted to jump into this because you think they're gonna win the division for sure. I'm gonna count
All right,
off.
wait. Just to pause, we had 11 wins for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, 11-6 or
Okay,
12,
okay,
12-5,
okay,
something like that.
okay.
So starting off week 1, Chargers, they'll beat them. Week 2, Eagles, they lose. Then they get the Giants, easy win. They lose to the Ravens. They beat the Jags, lose to the Lions, beat the Raiders, lose to the Commanders, lose to the Bills, lose to the Broncos, beat the Colts, beat the Cowboys, beat the Texans, Chargers, Titans, and then they'll beat the Broncos. They'll go 1-1. and they'll beat the Raiders, go 2-0.
All right, but you're telling me that every single challenge that Patrick Mahomes is going to face this season, he's going to lose?
Yes, all of these teams
There's no way.
they want, bro. All of these teams want his head so bad. They
And
like
he
they
wants their head too. He just lost in the Super Bowl.
it okay, but I genuinely think Patrick Mahomes is on a decline now. I think if he got that
Hot
three,
take. Hot take.
I think if he got that three-peat, he would have went and won two more. But now it's gonna be a couple years before he'll make it back to the Super Bowl.
I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. The Kansas City Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl this season.
No, bro, they're not.
They I'm going to give the Eagles the win. All right, I think yeah, the Eagles beat them in week 2. I think that they beat the Ravens in week 4. I think the Lions beat them in week 6, so that's 2 L's. I think they beat the Commanders. Actually, I think they lose to the Commanders and they beat the Bills. So that's 3 L's
Really.
right there.
I don't.
I'll agree with you there that the Broncos will take them 1-1. So that's 4 L's max. This is my maximum for the Kansas City Chiefs. So maximum, we're looking at 4 losses. We're looking at worst a 13-4 season. How does this team not go to the Super Bowl?
No, realistically, they're not doing 13-4. Come on, bro. The Bills will definitely take that. I like Josh Allen is not gonna lose to Patrick Mahomes again. And if he does, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad, bro. Because how do you get owned by someone like this? Like I thought slavery was abolished, bro. Like, bro, he owns you. You can't keep losing to him. This is crazy, bro. Josh Allen, you need to figure out a way to beat Patrick Mahomes, bro. Like,
100%. Josh
please,
Allen needs to
for
figure it
my
out.
sake, please. I'm sick of this guy winning, bro.
So as we can see, we have a Patrick Mahomes hater here, and that's why he thinks the Denver Broncos are going to win the division. But let's dive into the Raiders. Final 2 teams of our breakdown today. Las
Two
Vegas
and
Raiders. You said what? 2-16, 2-15.
yeah, two
Yeah, I
sixteen,
don't
two
mind it, but
fifteen.
I think that Geno Smith is like a very middling quarterback. So like I could see him getting 6 or 7 wins for them this season. Just
I forgot it
him,
was
Ashton
Gino.
Genty. The
Jacoby
biggest
Myers.
drawback for Ashton Genty is the Saquon formula, which is the fact that the Giants grabbed Saquon and they said, "Man, this guy's going to transform our franchise." And then you realize that a running back on a bad team doesn't transform your franchise, but a running back on a good team can take you from good to great. So
Hmm.
Ashton Genty needs to have a solid line in front of him. He needs to have a solid defense as well. Just follow that Eagles formula. But I think the Raiders are just trying to bridge because they wanted to use that pick on Genty. So they need to bridge to next year's quarterback. So allow Genty to
Yeah,
run for 1 year, and then we see what kind of impact he can have next season. Just
they're
looking at the
doing.
schedule, yeah.
The Raiders are doing a pretty good job with this rebuild, just because when they do draft a new quarterback next year in the first round, he'll be able to sit behind Geno for a year. Who Geno isn't like a terrible quarterback, but he'll be good enough to kind of coach a new guy, to kind of show him what's going on.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. He's on a 3 year deal, so he definitely has the time to do that. Someone I'm excited about is Jack Besh. He immediately jumps into that wide receiver 2 role. He's got hands, he can run routes, kind of that prototypical guy. Almost like I want to see a little bit of a bigger Lad McConkey, but a bigger, less twitchy Lad McConkey in Jack Besh. So it's going to be fun for the Raiders this upcoming season, and I'm excited to see what they're able to pull off.
Yeah, just looking at their schedule, I have them winning 3 games max,
That's fair. I'll go
three,
5. I'll
four
go 5 and
games.
12. I think they
I
can pull
think,
off some random wins that we don't even expect out of them. So
yeah, I'll say 4 wins from the Raiders. I mean, they're just not good.
yeah,
All right,
that's kind of
we
the
got
general
our
consensus.
last team of the day. We got the Chargers. Chargers, let's see what they got. Week 1 versus the Chiefs. Already starting the season off to pretty tough game, but I do have faith that Herbert can go 1-1 against Mahomes this year, and he's not going to get just destroyed. So I'm just by looking at it, I'm seeing one, two, three,
They've got a tough schedule this year, dude. They've got a really tough schedule this year.
9, 10. Yeah, I'm looking at a 10-7, 10-7 season.
I think they go 8-9. I think there's a lot of toss ups in there, and something's got to shake. Like either the Chargers, the Broncos, or the Chiefs are going to fall off this season. One of those teams is going to eventually fall off. So it just depends on who's it going to be. The Chargers seem to have the toughest schedule in which they have to play against the Commanders, they have to play against the Vikings, they have to play against, I think the Steelers are an okay matchup for them. They have to play against the Eagles, they have to play against the Texans. So outside of their division, they just have to play so many top teams that I personally think that the way that the AFC West is going to shake out this season is going to be Chiefs on top, Broncos at number 2, LA Chargers at number 3, and the Raiders at number 4. What's your official order?
Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs. No, I'm playing.
Chiefs
Chiefs.
lose in the division?
Nah, Chiefs, Raiders. Yo, it'll be
Understandable. Chiefs being third in the division is crazy to me, though. I cannot believe that.
no. I really think it could happen. It just depends on how the Chargers do. I really like what they did. I love Omarion Hampton getting picked up, and I think they did pick up Najee Harris. And
They did.
I don't know if they still have Elliott, but yeah. So I think they have a pretty good system here, and we know how Harbaugh likes to run the ball. We know he likes to get those extra yards, take some pressure off the quarterback. And Omarion Hampton is perfect for that. If you watched him in college, they just send him flying through the line, get 4 or 5 yards per rush, or maybe 2 to 3. But even still, he's just that short pickup guy. And then once you give him the hole, he's breaking through, he's getting a touchdown. So I think that was a great pickup for the Chargers. He fits perfectly in their system, and I think he'll be the starting running back over there.
For sure. So just to run a quick summary of the AFC West, our MVPs are going to be different. My MVP is obviously Patrick Mahomes. His MVP of the division is Bo Nix, I would assume. Um, Least valuable player of this season, I'm going to give it to Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers is a huge fall off this season. Obviously, Brock Bowers is there, Ashton Jeanty is there, Jack Besh is there, so there's a lot that can be toyed around with that Raiders offense. And at least my favorite rookie out of this division is Omarion Hampton, as you had just mentioned. Ashton
Yeah.
Jeanty is really electric. He's a lot of fun. But we know what his role is going to be. So I
Yeah.
guess the rookie I'm most excited to see, like what can he do, is Omarion Hampton. I don't know if you agree with me
What
there.
did we have the Chiefs record at being at again?
I had them at 13 wins, and I believe you had them at 10.
Okay, yeah, so we'll put him at 12-5.
Okay.
Well,
So just look over your list. Tell me, who did we have as the number 1 team in the NFL, and who was the last place team in the NFL?
so our 1 seed in the AFC will be the Buffalo Bills
Okay, how many wins?
at 13-4.
Great. And who's our bottom seed in the entire AFC?
We have the Cleveland Browns going 2-15.
Great. Official predictions, we'll lock them in now. But it's a really exciting division this year. I feel like it's a little bit more wide open than it was last year, but the favorites remain the favorites. I mean, we've got the Bills on top, the Browns still figuring things out at the bottom as like the past 5-6 years. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year in football.
Yep. I'm just trying to compile the full list to see the full rankings for the
For sure. And we'll drop
AFC.
the full rankings on our YouTube. We'll drop them on our TikTok. This episode is going to be on Spotify and YouTube. I thank you guys again for listening in, and we will be back here next week discussing the NFC and all the different changes that are going to be there. Bucks are number 1. Let's go. See you guys next week.